administration of justice is a pillar in efforts at building good governance in any country. If the system of justice is lacking, it affects everything else. Society is not at peace. Governance does not work. Social and economic development get stagnated. And we have been entrusted with that responsibility.
Criminal case number 387 of 2017, Alnaike Didas and another.
Your Worship, this matter was coming for further prosecution hearing. However, due to the absence of the trial prosecutor, I'm praying the matter be adjourned.
Yes, defense.
Well, we do not oppose the adjournment. We only have concerns that the DPP is an institution. Court cannot be held at ransom because of the absence of an individual. We have already lost some time as far as hearing is concerned. We pray that you grant them a last adjournment for those reasons. Otherwise, any state attorney, if they are witnesses in court and has a file, can proceed.
So are we asking the state attorney, in the event that he will not be available, somebody else should take on this case? Because we really get concerned when you keep coming and then prosecution cannot take off.
Criminal case number 537 of 2016, Subuga Augusta and 4 others.
Are the witnesses in court? Unfortunately, they are not in court. Your Worship, I pray for an adjournment due to the absence of the witnesses and the trial prosecutor.
Defense.
These people are not supposed to report in court for 1 year and nothing has happened.
This matter, Your Worship, was for possible settlement. I summoned the complainant to update me about the settlement, but unfortunately, she did not come. And so I seek for an adjournment to summon the complainant again. Your Worship, I'm holding brief for the prosecutor in charge of wildlife. She's not in court because she's not feeling well. And I'm praying for an adjournment.
Your Honor, I also want to observe that my clients come from a very far place in Kanungu. If an adjournment is to be granted, let it be the last one. Otherwise, we shall move court to have this matter dismissed.
What's very crucial here is the fact of indisposition of the state prosecutor. But also, too, I think the distances choose persons are traveling to attend to their trial, because Kanungu is quite far from this place, and the purpose of adjudication here is to ensure that the cost of litigation should be minimal to the parties concerned. So that's the point which I want to pick from Mr. Okware. I want to agree with you that we should have this matter then fast-tracked to avert the possible unnecessary costs. So as I accept to grant an adjournment, I want to summon all the witnesses on the next adjournment.
Criminal case number 245 of 27.
By March 2017, more than 155,400 cases were still pending at all levels of courts, according to a report by Case Backlog Reduction Committee. This has mainly been blamed on the judiciary. But Chief Justice Katureebe believes that the judiciary is not solely responsible for the case backlogs in Uganda.
It seems we are the only country where you find a lawyer who has a case in the Supreme Court tomorrow, he spends the previous night in a nightclub. And these are the lawyers who will find an excuse to adjourn cases. Adjourn cases.
Lawyers told NBS the appointment of Katureebe will redeem the image of the third arm of government.
Katureebe's to-do list is long when he assumes office.
Even a newly born baby struggles to breathe. But we are there to try and solve, to make a contribution. Other people have done their best, and I will do my best.
I do not really expect him to do much concerning the corruption.
Katureebe is the right man for the job because he knows firsthand what this institution needs.
Barely a week after Transparency International report established judiciary and police competing for the top slot among the corrupt, the Chief Justice Katureebe has tasked members of justice law sector to redeem their image.
So it may appear like there are more cases, but in the past, people are just afraid to speak out. For me, I'm encouraging people to speak out.
Chief Justice Katureebe has strongly condemned the incidents which saw judicial and political leaders besieged for hours.
What happened yesterday is unacceptable. It must not happen again. It strikes at the core of what this constitution is all about, re-establishing the rule of law in this country. Let the institutions work.
The State of the Judiciary 2016 indicates that the executive arm of government, especially the president, is unduly influencing the decisions of court. The report suggests that this, coupled with police brutality, the siege of court premises, and the disregard of court orders, has led to a decline in the rule of law and constitutionalism in the country.
Little things that you do, small words that you say, can break your home, can break this country. It is time for us to reflect. Are we getting it right?
Chief Justice is going to take the welcome salute.
According to the HiiL report, 95% of the people of Uganda who have a justice need do not access it. Only less than 2% have access to a lawyer. That shows the gap that exists in our society in the administration of justice.
I'd like to remind all judicial officers and the judicial staff that our vision is to be an excellent judiciary that delivers justice to all. Every judicial officer, therefore, must observe the core values of independence, impartiality, transparency, professionalism, integrity, accountability, equality, and respect that underpin an excellent judiciary. I also call upon the government to invest more resources in the judiciary to make it effective and efficient in administering justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellence.
From law school, over the years I spent in the Attorney General's chambers and in private practice, and
later as a Minister of Justice, I got used to the idea that not all was well in the way we practiced law. I saw us sometimes as practicing lawyers taking advantage of the rules or the law to fit ends of justice. You know, you use a technicality and you get an adjournment or you get a case dismissed, someone has not come. And especially the time I spent as a member of parliament for that rural area, people used to come to me as a member of parliament. I was also at that time Minister of Justice. And I found myself confronting day-to-day issues that ordinary people, my relatives and friends where I grew up, were confronting, things that I took for granted practicing law in Kampala, but down in the village there's a disconnect. Good morning. Good morning. Good. Okay.
We build nations. They don't turn around. We be strong, we be silent, we be dry-eyed, watching for the future.
I've seen how the law can change circumstances for people. In my third year still of law school, there's a public interest law clinic at Makerere University. So it conducts a class called clinical legal education. Now, in clinical legal education, you got to go to communities. You didn't only study in class. You would go to the community and then clients would come to you and you had this opportunity to kind of exercise your legal knowledge and see how it plays out. And it was exciting. It's what maybe kept me close to the law. And even now, that's the nature of work that I do because I saw the relevance that the law has to myself and also to the community.
Whoa.
Sebo kali ka police station ke mwogedde ko tukayiseeko. Tetukatuukako But now you see how far we've traveled. Now imagine if a child is violated, I mean, what capacity do they have or do the parents have to travel all the way to probably Uganda hospital? You know.
That's the only problem.
Yeah. Kale, we're going to ask you just to tell us briefly your story. What happened and also when it happened? When did it happen?
Chebakobye. Ochitegere. Young nice.
Tandikira nga ebyatandika.
Nga we byatandika.
Kati nali mubeno kanja ku kyalo Wangoba. District Bugire. Kati nsalire mu wano mu shortcut mu Kibali. Kati we nalinja wentuukira ku nsalosalo Wangoba ne Butyabule. Kati nayagaana natambula nga tiddi kirimu ki wano waaliwo ebitooko nga bingi kale nga tiddi kirimu n'ebisalamamba nga tiddi kirimu kati nga nuna wali akagira kati nalindi awo n'atambula n'aseetuka katono kati yajja okubaawo kembona muntu aneevumba muki einuma emigongo ati zena kaneevumba okumulingaku nti nga musaada aye kale namubona n'embwa ente yali awo kuba neyalinayo tiddi yali awo kaali kwaya ndowooza yeekweka mu nsiko ati nze lwaneevumba nemulingirira mu feesi nti namubona enkovu mu maiso keningi naafuna ekikangaba zeena neerwanaku kuba yansikula yandukiza neki nenika n'akageito yabukutula kati yankoba ati minza omukazi akusingako meiwe niwoona anema nze namubuuza nti ye ndiziza musango ki awo yantuga yankuba mu olutego ansuule wansi nze naawo nalwanisaaku katonda yaba otyampa amaanyi bwenakukola olukokola luno nimukuba eriiso niyisabuka omusaayi awo yankuba ekikondo amaino lwankuba ekikondo amaino muno mumba naabona nga amaino gagaita gaine gonagona tiri kusobola kwogera kati kaani naze kaali kavu eno koona kali kwida yamwaganaawo lwaide omuzimusenda kubanza okuveera tyatuukaka yatuukira ku poliisi olwatuukira ku poliisi nti binjeeyo bananamba zira kye banamba naatuukaawo nga kumbe poliisi mikwano gye nga mikwano gye kati bayogerawo mbu bampa statement
mikwano jani
jole
the offender okay
kati olwatuukaawo
But and you have to struggle to think about the same kinds of phrases for men's sexual misconduct or conduct.
Or things that make them seem immoral when they do.
Yes, you have to think really hard.
Yeah, like maybe
No, the truth is, for example, if as a woman I decide now I'm going to have 3 husbands, legally I'm going to conjure 3 men, and I'm going to keep number 1 in this house, number 2 in this house, and then I'm going to go and visit them 2 days a week each one. Now, how will society treat me compared to how men do that and no one says anything? You see?
There is this man.
Why? Because you have an appendage. Daphine, don't apologize for it. It's the truth.
Daphine, please don't apologize.
Shut up.
What leaders are we when it rains and we pull the blankets off the masses, a fire catches and instead we add more fuel? We have become the beasts who prowl through the land, killing innocent men, women, and children. They die from disease, they die from famine, even the very basics of life they can't afford. But we continue to hoard their resources. We are forsaken leaders in a forsaken state. We forget that the wealth, the oil wells, the lands, the money, the donations, we do not own, and we hold in trust for those we serve. We are forsaken leaders, and may death be unto us. A mind that once functioned is now corroded with plots to plunder and plunder more and more and more. A kidney that once sieved out all the junk now takes in junk helicopters, junk medicine, junk roads. Death be unto us, for we have lost our purpose, and history will not forget to judge us. No, it won't.
Konka hakaro akamulaha niona wanza kuteja kasani when I was 8 years old. My first picture was taken around there.
I have it, the small picture. I think that's the earliest picture you can remember. Of Bishop Yamena Zabrai. Father, what's a breakfast? Come on, breakfast. Come on,
We bore the brunt of Idi Amin for 9 years. And I remember how angry not only me but all of us felt when we were in third year of law school, 1973. And there were a number of people who were captured by the government as guerrillas, as people who were planning to overthrow Idi Amin, and they were publicly executed. And the executions were put on television. So, and I do remember we all sat in the common room at the Mitchell Hall at Makerere University and seeing those executions. It's very difficult for one to say exactly what you felt. Now, then you ask yourself, but I'm a law student. There's been no trial for these people. Just somebody reads out and says, we've sentenced them to death. So whatever my contribution will be in the judiciary, it must be seen in that context, that we have something at stake in our country. So when I became Chief Justice, I thought we would have to find some way of reaching down to all those people down there who have difficulties accessing the formal system of justice, so that we really feel the command of the Constitution, because the Constitution says all power belongs to the people, and the judiciary exercises judicial power on behalf of the people.
Kan, Oriot, Turian Mugamba, says you mutamujo.
Não, agora, cadê? Tuzomia casta.
That's true.
However, we know what
Where are we going? Each one of us in our work, what do people think of you? Either people don't understand you, or you don't understand them, or you are doing something wrong. Then that's not the face of justice people want to see. That's not how we are going to encourage people to have access to justice. That's not the way we are going to encourage people to have faith, to have trust in what we do. But most importantly, it is how you conduct yourself as a judicial officer, as an officer of the court. At whatever level you are in the chain of justice. And if at any one time along that chain you take a bribe, you are reducing public confidence in the whole system. So that's the reason we have this open day, to go and tell people who we are, what do we do, what are the problems, what are the challenges, and encourage them so that we move from the 2% who access lawyers, at least let's get to 3%. The 95%
who cannot access us. Surely it's a shame. We want to have every person able to reach us.
My Lord, my name is Ndamira John. I do represent the community and I'm a farmer. First and foremost, first of its kind, your lordship, I do appreciate. Ekine kintu ekitakabaho mbwene infacto myaka yanje 30 y'inasiyo mu nzomu tinkarebaga chief justice na izo mbantu
twineho banke bakweta baypoti eitutakacenjire enkora yayo kurungi nki ayoroni ya miliyoni 3 bampandikire kibara hacho kujangu nsasore miliyoni 15 government na jigamba ho chabo katinyenye nko we yibire
amazina nbanyeta bamwereka keremensi yaniniganya bare omurikaninkanga Paris ekibuzo cyanje nkigira kiti kandi twiza tukatekaye msango okizo iziro mukoti izo barya koto kashanga ngo fayiro terho omuramuzi taru kukimanya okasanga fayire bakagironde kabura neza nkahi
nyowe ntuyiro mu kibungo cya Buhwezu abanyashema bakija batahirira amataka gitu nyine bagenzi banje omuru Buhwezu omuri Nyakitoko komborere ya Burere batutahirira batubingamu twababuruze bagira ngo binde cyapa kandi kitarukumanya twarokwe tombwita kwitu ahagomborera batoherezo wa RDC batampolisi polisi yacondoza yashanga ngo bakakore cyapa kijingirire ebahandiko byacyo batamu n'abantu bafire bakora fayiro babakwata babareta omukoto bushenyi omushango go katandika 2013 nenkito zikuzire twabura necho kuzwara ogwenturondo busente tuburuho entambura ya kuruga Buhwezu kwiza bushenyi egumire mwene sebo mukama wanje justice tukore ki katwaremwa abana katakineho kubata ahubwo kugenda omisango kandi twagurekana batukoma.
They should give particulars of their cases, then we can find out.
We need to find out.
Yitwa mbyaro kuri ya grassroots twine obutachengana bw'amataka nko kumukubura hatwo kutubaturi yaho mu butuntu ori orwo kutongana na witaka ahanga ibari agira tenta amayanje buzire nabwo cyo niwe jibiri akoraga nabo kukwata bakureta polisi utini cyo rukumanya ngwene cyo government ne kigamba cye
webare. I want to ask you to allow me to speak in Runyaruguru or Runyankole. Aukanyonya ndakwika bariya. Okureba twakoze justice land order sector. Nokureba ebitongore byo nokubirya. Na kugira ngo ekintu kya justice tichitongore kimwe cyonka. Okurugirira omuntu okwari kukwatwa yakora omushango okwari kutwazibwa kuzo mukoti okwari kutwazibwa ryo mukoti okwari kutwazibwa yaza kuchwerwa omushango byona n'ebintu bikwata justice ntwenda ngo tubahurikize aho kecho ncho kirati yambe okumara hepi mutakwetegereza.
Are they legally binding?
They are not. The orders which are binding are orders which have been made by court. Right?
And what do you advise the public?
To go back to court.
Another thing, you talked about coming up with tight regulations that will bar advocates to adjournments.
We'll make it difficult to get adjournments because we have found many times advocates come to court unprepared. They ask for an adjournment. They find a magistrate or a judge who also likes to give adjournments. Who is the sufferer? The sufferer is the client who has to go back and then come back. So we are trying to amend the regulations to make it more difficult for an adjournment without reason. You really must convince court that there is a good reason why a case should be adjourned. Otherwise, you should come prepared to argue the case. All right, thank you very much.
Everyone has a role to play to ensure that there's some sense of security within the justice system, that we can say, oh, we have a set of laws and we have a set of structures and they work. And if we can do that, then I think the perpetrators will also be scared to commit crimes because they know they're going to be persecuted. But right now, as it is, people get away with crime. So why shouldn't they commit crime? Yeah. Or people get away with, people are violated and nothing is done. So why should they go to court? Why should they waste their money in investing in a system that is not going to serve them at the end of the day? So I feel the greatest challenge that the justice system is faced with is instilling that sense of faith and also showing us that the justice system actually works. Kati bwe wagenda kugundu ku ddwaliro ogambye nti no wagenda ku ddwaliro naye nga wali totegeera ekyali kikubaddeko, so omanyi oba baakukeberako kulaba oba scan kulaba nti n'omutwe tewali blood clot?
Kati mu kutegeera nga bali kunkebera ekyo tikyaliwo.
Tibakebera mutwe ate amaino
ago bagema ku wabugema bati baaniga ekyo
tibaata musikani. Engeri gye baleese abasirikale abayaka ku kitundu, olowooza bwe tutandika process eno byaka okugema olwo omusaada tuyigulewo fayiro eyindi batandika okunoonyereza bairemu bagema omusaada olwo eyakugema spaninja, olowooza oyinza okubonawo obwenkanya nga kikolebwa nga bamugemye, wabonawo obwenkanya we na mutima gwe waikaikana.
Era nkyenda ino kubanga nninza okukola ntyo ng'entamwetegereza era twayagaana nanga yantegeera olwandita bwite kubanga yantugamu n'enkovu daali daawamubo.
Okay. So kati okujjako ku arrest ki ekirala ky'owulira nti no ekikosa nnyo kye wandiyagadde obuyambi?
Era kamunguluzaako n'amaino kuba tusobola kweya kintu. Amaino gano maino buli ssaawa.
Okay. Maybe if we did, because us nga organization tubadde tulowooza nti no, yes, waliwo okukozesa okugenda ku police, waliwo n'okuyamba omuntu nga gwe ne tulaba nti nofunye medical help gye weetenga olekerawo okufuna obuzibu bw'ofuna. Naye tubadde tulowooza nti no, ate bwe tukola tuziyita community outreach, ne tugenda mu community ne tuyita abantu ne tubakungaanya ne tutryinga okubawa amagezi ku nsonga zino nga tugamba omukazi alina okuweebwa ekitiibwa kye, oba omukazi bw'aba nga bamuyisiza bw'ati kino kye kisobola okuvaamu. Olowooza nti no eyo program bw'etyo esobola okuyamba?
Osobola. Aye kuno basobola. Aye kuno tufunangako ku muzi ogwo.
Kuno guzirako.
Era tukifunangako waire bumoze ezira waire butyabule wabula nsozi ibiri. Ate era nsozi ibiri ezira kubanga babikolobero bingi. Aye mboyo nakulira ekikoosi.
We believe that when a person shares a story like you have, it helps the people who are concerned, maybe civil society or police or the government, to find out what more they can do.
Bakwebaziza okutukobera story nga bweri. Aye yakuba ati ni government yona esobola okuba yakola ki yatuyambamu.
Yeah, and also will not okay, how do I say this? Do you feel any do you feel like the weight is less on you when you share? Is there any relief in sharing your story on your part as an individual?
Mwengeri gye twogeremu ku niiwe bw'atukobera ebyakutuukako. Olina engeri embeera yo gyekyuseemu waawulira nga ku mutima otulo kweyike wayikayikana. Waawulira nga bire byonna byonna ebibeera bikusumbuwa bikuviireko.
Nampulira isana.
She is happy.
Why?
That she's lwaki oli musanyufu. Lwaki oli musanyufu okwogera niife kino engeri gye kikwambyemu kikwambye kitya?
Kandi kinambye nti kale omusobola okuntasaako okusinga ni bano bembeerenga nabo ku kyalo kuno.
Here is a time for justice. For those misplaced people, those searching for home, those on notice. You know, like a fetus dislodged from the umbilical cord, they search for a connection to Earth's womb where their feet may be planted and their plants grown, their babies born. Here is a time for the people evicted endlessly in Uganda. Here is a time for equality. MP who okays wife beating. MP who justifies raping women. MP who okays raping women in miniskirts. Here is a time when women occupy the kitchen and the office. Bright and red-blooded, you can't miss them. The PMs, as in Prime Ministers, Britain to Senegal, Slovenia to Jamaica, women are reigning like monthly periods. They're bright and red-blooded and they're taking over. Here is a time for equality.
Let me sort of see. And look like come. Fuck it. I'll give it to me. I'm a hand.
There you are.
The fuck mambo.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
The younger people seem to be prepared to learn from history. What I see is a general feeling that certainly we don't want another war in this country. The challenge is for us in positions of leadership to listen to those voices, to listen to our children who say we don't want to see what you saw.
Without a bucket, they run away.
When you talk to these recent graduates and so on, people in their 30s, mid-40s, there is a difference between the way we in our 60s and 70s are looking at things. Because we tend to look at things saying, we used to do this, this used to happen. But these people are saying it shouldn't happen that way. 2 years from now, I will be 70. Definitely I will not be Chief Justice. And I would like to see someone much younger come up. I was appointed Chief Justice when I was 65, so I would have only 5 years to make a difference. I would like to see a Chief Justice appointed when he's 50, so that he has 20 years to see through his programs. So I have every hope that things will change.
I think it's a challenge on my part to find ways of working with government. Also, I cannot continue to work outside government, because then what is my impact on government if I'm the one saying government is doing this wrong, government is doing this wrong? What can I do to work with government to right that wrong?
For me, I have a suggestion on joining the advocacy, strengthening the advocacy strategy of the community.
We want it to be a community case. The community itself is the one that's going to sue, not NetPIL or members of NetPIL. So NetPIL and UKA are then coming on board to support the community. Like when we were there on Sunday, we were giving legal literacy. What are the possibilities? What are the options available? And then it's up to the community to decide what they want to do.
My humble view is this one. I think this is not a community issue. If we narrow it to say, let the community take the lead, I think we're defining it as a community issue. And this is, from what you've told us, I think this is something that demands urgent attention. Where if you're going to wait for people to make up their minds on this and that, a lot of time will have elapsed. And so I think that's where my concern is. I think there needs to be a plan A and plan B, in the sense that, first of all, we need to agree that this is a matter which needs to be handled with due dispatch, like as quickly as possible. Something needs to be seen being done in terms of movement. Either if you agree on the strategy, if you say advocacy, that should have begun yesterday. If you say we're going legal, that should have begun yesterday. If you're saying we're looking at any other strategies like diplomatic engagement and what have you, that also needs to be underway. I mean, that something needs to be in motion.
Your Worship, I have no objection.
So in the meantime, as you do that, 14th, and we are summoning witnesses.
Okay.
We have finished with the cases for today. And in case your case has not been called and you are out there, you let us know so that we attend to you.
Maybe I would challenge myself to be a leader in the justice system that can now cause this change and also have more power in my hands to cause change, as opposed to being outside the system. Because when you're outside the system, there's so little you can do. You can only help the victims, and you only help to correct the wrongs that have been done, but you don't have so much power to stop the wrong from being done, because otherwise, the system will remain rotten and we'll keep on saying it's rotten, but who is changing it and who has the power?
It's not yet ready, this one. I will show you.